from the Denver Broncos Media Center, welcome to Broncos Country Tonight with Ryan Edwards and Benjamin Allbright.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to Broncos Country Tonight. We are joined in studio by Hall of Famer, Broncos Ring of Famer, the one and only Steve Atwater. What up, Steve?
What up, what up? Maybe a little bit more official now. I got the jacket.
You got the jacket. That was so cool, man. We saw that on Broncos social media. I think that was earlier this week. And, take us through that, man. I mean, they sent you the jacket. And, I mean, is it sunk in yet that you're a Hall of Famer?
It still hasn't sunk in, man. I wore the jacket for probably about 45 minutes or so.
Did you pull a risky business? Put the jacket on, slide across?
Yeah, did all that.
Just do chores around the house, walking around.
Flexing the jacket, eating cereal.
No, I didn't try cereal. I may have spilled some, so I played it safe there. But yeah, man, it's starting to sink in, and you're just taking a look at that beautiful jacket and the box, man. The box is something to be treasured as well. That box is pretty. I've never seen a box that nice before. But yeah, the whole thing is just amazing. And I know this whole journey, down through August and even past there is going to be something special. But again, getting to the Hall of Fame is never something that someone does as an individual. It's a whole bunch of people that had a lot to do with it. So hey, we're gonna celebrate all those people.
Can't wait.
Now, see, I was having a conversation with somebody, and we were both like, yeah, Steve's way too humble to do this. But if I was in the Hall of Fame,
oh, man.
I'd be wearing that jacket to go buy a new car. I'd be like, do you have the Hall of Fame discount? I'd be like flexing.
We got a Hall of Fame premium.
Like, actually, you need it.
I love that.
And then I just take the jacket off and sit on.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations again. I can't wait to celebrate with you when the Hall of Fame comes up. But we have just a little over a week to the draft, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what's coming up. Now, the Broncos have 9 picks. I think it's kind of an interesting conversation, an exercise that we did even last year because they had 10 picks. We said, man, do they really need 10 players here? Do they really need 10 rookies? Mm-hmm. How many players, let's just generically speaking, how many players would you like to see the Broncos come out here, and what are the priorities in position if it was up to you?
So you say we have 9 picks?
9 picks.
We need 11.
I'm sorry, what?
I want 11.
You want 11 players.
So you want to trade back.
Boom. How did you figure that out?
It's just I was doing the math on my abacus over here.
I was told there would be no math, but okay.
And that's if we don't feel like, we want to select a quarterback either at the 9 position or we want to move up and we don't get Micah Parsons there at 9. I'd like to see us stockpile some positions, and absolutely, I would say linebacker, cornerback. I think we're going to need a safety somewhere in there. I know you probably want Richie Grant there. You take him at 9, wouldn't you?
Not at 9. It's funny. People have been sending me mock drafts with Richie Grant at 9 and no other players. And I was like, why? What is he's like, the Broncos won with this draft. And I'm like, no, Richie Grant could be available at 71 probably.
They're trolling him on social media by overdrafting Richie Grant.
Yes. So would you take Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah at 9?
I would not.
Okay.
I would not. But if you're trading back, if you're in the 20s, absolutely.
Okay. And where would you play him?
Safety. Linebacker-ish. He's a safety. Right. But you already have 2 starting safeties. So the fact is, he's
going to play.
Rotate him in.
He's going to play.
I just like to take this moment to say that Ryan Edwards stole a defensive back take from me, and my life is complete now.
Oh, did he? Okay.
You had it first. Ben had it first, but it's not like I didn't agree with you after watching him. I'm just
messing with you, man.
After watching him, I saw the light.
You know how it
like
is.
Most things in this. But, that's an interesting conversation. How many players you really want to come away with this? And if you're going with 11, like Steve says, Ben, then you're not really getting draft picks for the future, are you?
Well, if you're trading back and you are doing that, you do want to multiply some for the future. But yeah, some right now too. My question about 11 guys is: are all 11 going to make the roster?
Hopefully.
Okay.
And you want to build some depth as well.
Right.
And we got a lot of guys on 1-year contracts.
Yeah.
And you want to get some guys in here who can compete with those guys. And hey, we had a ton of injuries last year. Hopefully everyone comes back healthy. But if they don't, you got to have some guys that can play. So yeah, man, stockpile them. I may even bring in. Well, I'm gonna bring another running back too.
I would definitely do that. But yeah, you're right on the depth. We got down to the cornerback depth was so thin last year that I sent in tape of Ryan playing in his carpenter jeans at the flag football game, and the Broncos strongly considered it.
No, they didn't.
Dude,
No, they didn't.
Oh, wow. You just You just went right after my soul there. All right. Steve, let's get to your hashtag my guys, because I do want to know, like, for you just talked about 11 guys. Well, you got a lot of variety here of your guys. So I'd love to hear who are your guys in this draft.
Okay, first off, Cortland Sutton, Bradley Chubb, Von Miller, Jerry Jeudy, Albert O, Noah Fant, Drew Lock. My guy's already in the building.
Oh, come on.
Look at this. I know. You didn't want to hear that. You want to hear some guys need to call off some of these college guys, Micah Parsons or Richie Grant. I don't know those guys. The guys that I know are right here in this building right now. Drew Lock is my guy.
This is a segment.
Shelby Harris is my guy.
We absolutely,
Don Rice is my guy.
You're pulling this clip for a promo.
Dude, you got to be kidding me here.
It will light the internet on fire.
The whole exercise to talk about guys that you like in the draft, and you decide to just
we already got them.
Those are you say who are my guys?
Are you Rick-rolling me here? What is going on?
You asked me which players would I want to draft. You know,
who do you want to draft? Each position.
Each position. Okay, let me see.
Steve was like, we don't even need draft picks.
If we draft a quarterback, which is kind of up in the air, I would lean towards Justin Fields or Mac Jones, because those are the only two guys that have a chance of being there.
Just give me your guy.
May be there.
Who's your guy? Justin Fields.
Out of those guys, Justin Fields.
Okay. Who's your running back?
I don't have a running back. I don't have a running back that I'm
you don't like Najee Harris?
You don't like Najee Harris? Travis Etienne?
You think they're going to be there?
If you trade back and you get 11 picks.
Trade all 11 for Najee Harris.
That's right. All right, wide receiver.
He's not going to be there.
Just who's your wide receiver?
Who's your wide receiver? He's the same guy.
I'm Devontae Smith. I know other people like Chase, but
Jamar
I'm
Chase.
Smith.
It's Jamar Chase.
Neither of them are going to be there. Jamar Chase is not going to be there. Devontae Smith's not going to be there. He's not going to be there.
Right.
Alabama, he's not going to be there. So it doesn't matter.
All right. Defensive backs. We're just going to skip ahead because I don't even know what's going on with this segment. Defensive backs. Who's your guy? Hashtag my guy, cornerback, and safety.
My cornerback is Farley.
Okay.
Out of Virginia Tech. My safety is J.O.K.
Okay. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah.
Yes.
All right.
And, I like Richie Grant, too. If I couldn't get Jerry, if he's already gone, I'd go for Richie Grant, too.
You think about it?
Yeah. But just the physicality of J.O.K., man, it's off the charts. And, he's physical back there with tight ends, and he can do it all.
All right. Steve, thank you for coming in segment and just totally setting this thing on fire. We appreciate you, though.
Hey, anytime. I'm your guy.
All right. When we come back, we have solved the riddle of the Broncos quarterback and what fans really want. We'll get to it next. All right, welcome back to Broncos Country Tonight. That was a fun segment there with Steve Atwater. Let's get back on track here. I ran a poll question on my Twitter account at Edwards Radio, and I feel like we have finally solved the riddle of how Broncos fans feel about the quarterback position. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's basically first-round quarterback or bust. It's first-round quarterback or you go back to Drew Lock. The overwhelming sentiment, because I asked the question basically, okay, if the Broncos don't select a first-round quarterback, who should the other quarterback be? And it was all over the freaking map. But the thing that is mostly winning is nothing. Go back to Lock. Broncos fans either want a first-round quarterback, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, etc., or they want the Broncos just to see what they have in Drew Lock. Maybe you get somebody else in the room, but they don't. The majority of the people responding, they don't want to take the reps, the snaps away from Lock, who at that point would clearly have the inside track to being the guy.
Yeah, I think that's smart thinking on their part. They're still going to have to bring a body in here to compete with Lock. I mean, they're going to do that either way. Let's assume that they don't go quarterback in the draft. Then you do have to pick one of those guys because you have to make a move for somebody. And it would be, that pool is essentially Nick Foles, Gardner Minshew, and Teddy Bridgewater. I think that there's a smart line of thinking in the sense that they don't want to steal reps from Lock because at that point you're rolling the dice hard on him developing and hope that becomes the hope.
But that's the point. I mean, if you don't go with a first-round quarterback, the value that you get into day two, like most people don't view the day two quarterbacks, even if there are three of them, which, by the way, doesn't happen very often in history. 3 quarterbacks go on day two. But Jamie Newman, Kellen Mond, Kyle Trask, any one of these guys, most Broncos fans have said, I don't know if those guys are even starting caliber, really, and it would be a developmental guy in there. The only guy in this scenario outside of a first-round quarterback was Gardner Minshew. Like, overwhelmingly, if you can't get a first-round quarterback, go get Gardner Minshew, because at least there's a little bit of unknown about what he might be someday, and it's not expected to be a high cost, like, say, getting Teddy Bridgewater or maybe Nick Foles.
Well, yeah, and I think that's kind of what you have to look at. Minshew started a few games, around the league. He's got the experience in that. We've seen that he's capable, at least. He might not be the guy that's going to put a team on his back and carry him to a Super Bowl, but he's capable of starting and winning football games. So we've seen that up close and personal here in Denver. So I think that's what you have to look at. If you're looking in the later rounds for a quarterback, you are getting a developmental guy. And why would you get a developmental guy when you've got a developmental guy? That's sort of the thing. And so, like, if you're looking to develop a quarterback, why wouldn't you just continue to develop Drew Lock that you already have?
Bingo. And most Broncos fans responding to this went to that exact point. If you're not going to get a first-round quarterback who seemingly is maybe projected to be better than Drew Lock, and that's what all this is. What Trey Lance or Justin Fields or even Mac Jones, who are the only guys that could potentially be in range for the Broncos to pick at 9, what is the perception of those players is that one day they will be better than Drew Lock. But again, it's all projection now.
It was all projection. When you go back to those drafts that some of these other guys were drafted in, they were all projected to be better than
Dwayne Haskins.
I was going to say, you can go back and look at Dwayne Haskins, he's got 1 foot out of the league already at this point. And you go back and look at guys that have been drafted over the years. Every year, everybody expects every quarterback to be better than the guy that they have. And statistically speaking, 1 to 2 of these first rounders pan out and the rest don't. And so that's what I'm trying to caution people on. The grass isn't always greener. Just rolling the dice on somebody like Fields or Lance or Mac Jones just to roll the dice isn't the right way to do it. Isn't the right way to think about it. It isn't a good idea. Either you think the guy's going to be a star, or pass on him until you find the guy you think is going to be a star and continue to develop the guy you got.
And for the Broncos at this point, it's not as a result of not trying or not being interested. Maybe it's a little bit of not being interested, but at this point, it wasn't a great free agent quarterback class. Like, it just wasn't.
Yeah, they weren't really in pursuit of any of that kind of stuff.
I mean, Matt Stafford, a trade for Matt Stafford, maybe a trade for Sam Darnold. Not many Broncos fans seemingly wanted Carson Wentz. Outside of that, I mean, really, Andy Dalton, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Didn't offer.
No, and they didn't offer. And I don't know many Broncos fans that would have been like, holy cow, we are so much better now because we acquired any of these guys. So it's not like one of those, like, if they get through this, and we had a conversation on the show last night about what if the Broncos get through the entire draft and don't draft any quarterbacks? Like, that's a possibility. It's not one that's likely, but it is a possibility.
Very strong possibility.
And so if that ends up being the case, it's not because, and some people will write columns saying, well, the Broncos, they screwed up the quarterback and they missed on everything they wanted to do, or they just didn't see any of these quarterbacks being appreciably better situation than they're already in.
And that was the thing. The reason they made an offer for Matt Stafford is because they felt that represented an appreciable upgrade. Carson Wentz didn't, to their mind. And the reason that they didn't offer Fitzpatrick or Dalton, they with the Darnold thing, they looked into it a little bit, but the thought process in the end was, I think we're just getting ourselves another Drew Lock, and then we got 2 of these guys that we need to figure out if one of them can develop. So, again, you don't want to split that. You don't want to do those kinds of things. If you're not sold on them in the draft, just pass until you find a guy you are sold on.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty simple conversation, yet somehow we're still sniping each other this late in the process.
Yeah, it's social media can just burn in. Whatever.
All right, when we come back, Ben's going to tell us who his #MyGuys are on. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Broncos Country Tonight. A little bit over a week away from the NFL draft. Of course, Benjamin Allbright is going to drop his much-anticipated mock draft coming up next week. We'll have a chance maybe to break that down. Maybe not. Who knows? We'll see what he decides to do, if he's going to drop it like the day of and make everybody wait all the way up until the moment. But I know one thing. We want to know who your guys are, the ones that you really are looking forward to seeing the Broncos maybe draft.
Well, yeah, and these aren't guys I necessarily think are going to go in the first round. Just guys that I like a lot that are probably going to go in later rounds. And for me, we always do the #MyGuys every year. That's what this is. Guys, I just believe in that, maybe you're getting a lower evaluation, or I see something in him that I really like, and, maybe it'll turn into something. Like last year, the wide receiver was Denzel Mims, a guy I really liked a lot. Knew he wasn't going, that early, but a guy I really liked, and he showed some flashes there for the Jets.
But it's important to know where they go, where they ultimately end up, because if they end up with a team like the New York Jets who are struggling and they don't even have their starting quarterback half the year, well, he's going to struggle, and he was hurt at times. So we don't know what Denzel Mims is ultimately going to be just yet in the league.
It showed some flashes, though.
He did.
So that's a positive thing. Yeah. At the quarterback position, Jamie Newman.
Yep.
We talked about him ad nauseum. I think he's a guy that you definitely are not expecting a contribution year one. If you're willing to put him on bubble wrap, get him the reps, build him up that way, I think he could be something. But he's a guy that's a year or two away from being that. You just hope to get him some meaningless reps at different times during the season and try to start to get him. But he's what you call a zero contributor in year one. You're not expecting anything out of him when you take him.
Yeah, he's like the raw clay.
Yeah, he is a raw ball of clay that we gotta mold and finagle and turn him into a statue.
But the
Superman.
upside could be tremendous.
Could be.
But you only spend a day 2 pick at
day
most.
3 probably. Yeah.
You think he'll last all the way to day 3?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I think your day 2 quarterbacks are going to be Davis Mills, Kellen Mond, and maybe Trask. It just takes one team. There are a couple of teams that like him a little bit.
All right, let's get to, running back. The Broncos could be used running back.
Ramondre Stevenson. I've talked about him. I like big backs, player. And I cannot lie. He's got the right size, and he's not a stiff. A lot of guys, you get that big, you get kind of stiff. He's not a stiff. He's got a little wiggle to him. He's not an old world back, and he lacks an elite third gear, but he's got the size, and he definitely fits his offense in terms of being a battering ram that you can just, on second down, as Pat Shurmur is wont to do, run the ball. So
I like Trey Sermon. That might be in the same range as Ramondre Stevenson.
I like him too.
So, again, we're talking about early day 3 kind of running backs. That would be kind of in that range. Ramondre actually might go a little earlier than Trey Sermon. I think he actually has a little bit more potential there. But Trey Sermon, because he's a little more household name because of Ohio State. We'll see. Let's get to offensive line, because offensive line, the Broncos will be looking more on day 2, day 3, more likely.
Well, as I say, we skipped receiver, and I've talked about Jalen Darden, so that's one of my guys. Offensive line, man, there's a couple of them. The kid out of Illinois, off the top of my head, from the guard out of Illinois, I like him a lot.
Quinn Miners or
no, out of Illinois, not out of Wisconsin Whitewater. He starts with a K. His name's escaping me at the moment. We went over offensive tackles that I thought were pretty decent the other day. There's a couple of guys in there, but most of those guys are going to be drafted early. I think Miners is probably a guy he would be the main guy you'd have to add there. Just he's not going to go round 1, but he can play anywhere on the interior line. I'm a big fan.
Okay, let's go to the defensive side. The D-line group is not particularly deep. And I don't think the Broncos will be in on any of the top guys. It doesn't make a lot of sense after they brought back Shelby Harris. Do you like anybody particularly at edge?
We talked about Joe Tryon, a guy I like. He's a little bit versatile. Can kind of move around a little bit. I like him a lot, even if the tape doesn't exactly scream. It does show some traits there that I think are big time. There was a couple of different guys we went over. I tell you what, the kid out of Penn State, Owa.
Jason Owe.
Yeah, he couldn't close, but the athletic profile is there. He can find the right scheme to get after him. I don't know that he's a fit for the Broncos, but he's a fit for somebody who runs that Wade Phillips style defense. Where you just kind of get him going downhill. I think he would be a great fit for somebody.
He'd be fun because he'd be an early day 2 prospect. At least that's where it kind of seems like he's slated in.
Yeah.
And if he's in that early day 2 range, and the Broncos are thinking about their edge rushers into beyond this year, saying, well, Von Miller on a 1-year contract, Bradley Chubb, we're going to probably pick up the 5th-year option. We're trying to work out a long-term extension, but you want to have a little bit more depth there. Malik Reed's been good, but again, it'd be great to have some more talent, add some more talent there, especially if injuries creep up again. In that group, remember, Von and Bradley have only played together for 1 year.
Right. I think that for the Fangio scheme, you really want those bigger guys that are more power rushers that can kind of hit the tackle and then kind of check to release, see if they need to drop back to the hook or the flat, or then come downhill after the passer after they've made that initial contact. I don't think Owe's that guy. I think he's more of a speed rusher around the end. So I don't know that he's a fit for the Broncos, but I do like his game.
Who's your linebacker?
Man, there's a few of them. I do like Collins. Baron Browning I like a lot.
Jamin Davis.
Yeah, I really love Jamin Davis. There's a lot of guys I think that are good. That's why Steve talks about Parsons. I like what I see on the field from Parsons, but the off the field gives me a red flag. And then on top of that, there's so much value later for me that I just don't want to burn a pick on a guy like that. And I view Parsons as a Will anyway, not a Mike. So for me, that's a bit of a waste.
Okay. What about let's go corner here.
Oh, man, there's several of them I like in this draft. we've talked about the guys at the top quite a bit. I like Eric Stokes out of Georgia.
Yeah, that's a guy.
Kind of a track star type of guy. Really a bit more of a fit for a man scheme, but I like what he brings to the table. Sante Samuel Jr., another guy I really like. A lot brings a lot to the table. We talked about Melifonwu with that length. I think he's at his best in kind of a cover 3 scheme. But all guys that I like a lot. All guys that I think fit on the list there.
Yeah, I like Eric Molden a lot out of Washington. Yeah. That's another kind of slot guy that Vic Fangio and Ed Donatel tend to like. All right, last one, safety.
Cisco. My man. I don't want him singing the thong song, but I do want him singing the interception song. Andre Cisco out of Syracuse. Hit or miss guy, really raw. But man, he's got great ball skills, and so I really, really would love to see him, get a chance to sit a year behind Kareem Jackson, Justin Simmons, develop his game, maybe become something for Vic Fangio.
Why do I have a feeling I'm going to hear that Cisco reference on draft night coming up here in a week or so?
I'll dump it like a truck.
All right, that does it for us. Thank you again to Steve Atwater for Benjamin Allbright. I'm Ryan Edwards. Thank you for watching Broncos Country Tonight.
Thanks for watching Broncos Country Tonight. Tune in to Broncos TV every weeknight at 6:30, right here on KTVD Channel 20.